Part of the advantage of using a content management system like WordPress is the ability to have multiple users attached to a single site, and to give each of these users different permissions based on who they are and what they're going to do. WordPress has extensive user management tools built in, and using them, you can create an active community of contributors and commenters. To manage your users on your WordPress.com site, you go to your dashboard and scroll down to Users and click All Users. Here you get a list of all the users that are currently registered with your site, and you can also invite new users. As you can see, you have some basic information about each of the users. You have the username, the real name, the email address, and the role of the user, along with how many posts that user has created. You can also use this panel to edit your own user information if you are logged in, and you can remove other users if you don't want them to contribute to your blog anymore. To add new users, you go and click on the Invite New button at the very top here. Inside WordPress.com, you can invite people that are already WordPress users by entering their usernames, or you can invite people to join WordPress.com and then join your blog by entering their email addresses. By scrolling down here, you'll see that I already invited myself as a user to this blog by entering my own username. But let's say I want to invite someone that currently doesn't have a WordPress.com account. In that case, I have to write in their email address. So I created an email address just for that. And then, regardless of whether I'm inviting someone who's using WordPress.com or someone outside WordPress.com, I need to set a role for that person. Now, roles are important because they define what a person can and cannot do when they're logged into your site. The default role is always follower. A follower is simply a follower of your blog. That means they can comment on your blog, that means they can read the content that's there, but they can't actually do anything. All they can do is manage their own profile from your blog. The top level is administrator. An administrator can do absolutely everything. The only people that should have administrator status are people that are going to change your themes, have the right to change, for instance, the name of the site, and who can use the site, and so on and so forth. The rest of the levels are pretty self-explanatory. An editor is someone who has the ability to create posts and pages, publish and unpublish posts and pages, edit posts and pages, and add and subtract content. An author can do the same, but only for their own content, whereas a contributor can write posts and pages and submit them for review by an editor, but they can't actually publish it. And once an editor or an administrator publishes a contributor's content, the contributor can no longer edit that content. If you want to learn more about the roles, you can go to the user roles page on WordPress.com and read all about the different user roles and how they work. If you can't find the URL, you can simply click on this link here, and it takes you directly to that page. In this case, I want to create a new author. So I'm going to assign author as the role. I'm not going to bother writing a message, and then I'm going to click Send Invitation. An email is now sent to the email address I entered here, and that person is invited. And you can see down here the status of the current invitation. You see, we're still waiting for the invitation to be accepted, and if I want to, I can resend the invitation if I don't hear from them. I've logged into my webmail in an incognito window, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm going to check my mail now. And here we have that invite from Samoka News that says I've been invited as an author to Samoka News. The problem is I don't have a WordPress.com account with this email. So before I can accept the invitation, I have to set up a WordPress.com account. And that's why I opened this in an incognito window, because that way I can open a new WordPress account using this email address and then be logged in two different places with two different browsers. So I'm going to click on this link to open a new WordPress.com account. And here I can enter a username. So I'll choose and my password and my email address, and I'll sign up. Now that I've signed up, I need to get that sign up email that we got earlier in the course. Here it is. I'm going to activate my account. And now that my account is activated, I can go back to that invitation email and click Accept Invitation. And with that, you'll see that I'm now logged in as Samoka Morton, and I'm inside the Samoka News website, but a lot of the features that are available to the administrator are not available to me. Here, I can go and create a new post with some text in it. and I'll put it under a category and publish it. And then I can go back to my dashboard, go to posts, and you'll see that I only see my own post because this is the one I published. I can also go look at all the posts, but they're grayed out, so I can't go in and edit them in any way. All I can do is view them. If I go back to my other window and refresh my invite page, I'll see that now Samoka Morton has accepted the invite and has become an author. So I can now go to all users. I can see I now have 3 accounts, 2 administrators, and 1 author, and the author has published 1 post. Now there's one more important example I want to give you. In some cases, you have a blog that's set to private. If I go to settings and privacy, you'll remember that here I could set the site visibility to either allow search engines to index the site, be invisible to search engines, or I can set it to be private. If I set it to be private and I save changes, the site becomes invisible to anyone who doesn't have an invite. So what happens is I now have to invite viewers to my blog for them to be able to see it. I can either do that directly from the privacy settings here by clicking invite viewers, or I can go back to users, click all users to see them, and then click invite new. What you'll see here is that the default role has now changed from follower to viewer. So the process is exactly the same as when I created the author, except in this case, I'm now inviting viewers into my site because as a private site, the only people who can see it are people that are logged in. The final thing I want to say about user management is the most important one. You have to be really careful about who you invite in as contributors, authors, publishers, and administrators on your site. Because as you invite these people in, you grant them permission to do things to your site. Of course, if they are just contributors, they can't really do much. But inviting someone in as an administrator or even a publisher means that you're giving these people the ability to publish content onto your site and also mess with other people's content. And that can be risky if you don't trust them. So if someone asks you to get permission to access your site using an administrator account or using an administrator or a publisher account, you have to make sure that you know these people and you know they're not going to take over your site.